Today we're going to cover stage 10. This is the last stage of the 10 stages of the soul. This is where the soul achieves its final ultimate union with its source, its creator. Now, last class we covered stage 9 in 2 parts. And I recommend you watch the video of this webinar and come fully up to speed with it, with all the key symbolisms of this stage, because as I said just now, I'm not going to have the time to recap all these things. So please do watch the videos in your nice, take your time, digest it, because what we learn in stage 9 is very pertinent to stage 10. Now, just a couple of quick points is that in stage 9, some of the highlights, the core highlight was we discussed the boundless love in much depth. And boundless love is a core aspect of our living. So, again, go and refresh your memories on it. We also learned how each soul is an evolver, fostering evolution, growth, and change in all the 7 worlds. So revisit these 2 videos of stage 9. So now we are at stage 10, the final of the 10 stages of the soul, the stage of the highest accomplishment that any soul can attain. And this stage is symbolized by the ocean infinite and the chanting of dolphins. These are the 2 key symbols of stage 10, followed by an ascension up a 66-step staircase to the door of light. And today we are going to address a number of questions on this stage, such as, what is the ocean infinite really? What is it? Is it the ocean as we know it, or is it more? What do the dolphins represent? Why are they in such a high stage of the 10 stages? Why are they used as a symbol? What is the 66-step staircase? Is it a staircase, or what is it? What does the number 66 signify? And then what does the door of light represent at the end of the 66 steps? What is it? And finally, what is the ultimate union or dissolution of the soul? How do we seek to understand that? Because that's our ultimate goal. Now, in 1995, when I wrote about the journey up the 10 stages of the soul in my first book, Reflections from the Origin, I described the crossing of this door of light at the end of the 66 steps. And I mentioned hearing the final words, "You are no longer you. That is your fulfillment." Those were the last words. You are no longer you. That is your fulfillment. What does this mean? We will go into that as well. So these are some of the questions we're going to address together today. And we're going to approach this final stage from a deep and spiritual perspective, a perspective that surprisingly even encompasses science at a very fundamental level. You'll be quite pleased to see how. So let us start by first looking at what the ocean infinite really is. It is best understood as an esoteric ocean. We know the ocean in our world as being an infinite body of water. But the esoteric ocean is a lot more than that. It is a lot more than an infinite body of water on this planet. Because while the ocean in our world is on this earth, it's restricted to this earth, the esoteric ocean has no limits. It extends into the universes and the furthest of galaxies and cosmoses. Recognizing that the ocean in this context basically departs from everything we have imagined so far. How is this so? Let us consider a simple analogy. Let us say we wish to examine our physical body at multiple fundamental levels. We want to examine our body. What is it made of? What is it? So we start by assuming that you're standing in front of a mirror. What do you see? You see the reflection of your face and your body in this mirror. It is a very familiar sight. You see it every day. It represents your body's reality in the material world. So when you see a photograph of you, you know it's you because that's your reality. Similarly, when you look at the ocean, you recognize the ocean as an endless body of water on this earth. The ocean too, in this context, makes up your reality in the material world. And when you see a photograph of the ocean, you know it's the ocean. You can identify it. So this is true for all physical aspects of nature as we know them. Trees, waterfalls, birds, gardens, animals, everything. We can see this reality. We can feel it. We can touch it. We can identify with it. So are we good so far? This is fairly simple, fairly clear. Now, what if I were to say that this big picture reality of our body, the ocean, nature, for example, is not even 0.001% of our actual reality. The reality we know, this big picture of things we see, things we identify with, is not even 0.0001% of our actual reality. So to think that everything we know so far of our material world is less than 0.0001% of our actual reality. Now let's take a closer look and explore our actual reality. Let's try and understand what have we missed. So what is our actual reality? What is the real ocean infinite? To answer these questions, let us look at the skeletal structure of our body. Let us say we are going to focus on the upper part of our body, for example. So we take an X-ray. What do we see? We see our bones in the X-ray. Does the X-ray resemble our body as we know it? The answer is no, it doesn't. The image of the X-ray is obscure to us. You couldn't look at your X-ray and tell us that it's an image of you. You could look at your photograph and tell us it's an image of you. So the very first close-up we take of ourselves, things begin to depart very quickly from the big picture reality as we know it. Now let's look even closer. We do an MRI of our arm bone. What do we see? We now see much finer sections of our bone. The X-ray was more clear. The MRI is less clear. And we find these sections even more difficult to identify with. We are a lot more obscure now. And there is no way you can identify yourself or your big picture reality by looking at this MRI. So the obscurity keeps growing the closer you look. So now we decide to narrow down even further. So we get our doctor to take a small section of our arm bone, like we do in a biopsy, and take a close look under a high-powered electron microscope. As we look at our bone and its minerals under the electron microscope, what do we see? We see its atoms. We see its subatomic particles, like electrons, which are some of the smallest energetic particles of anything. In this case, your bones. And in science, they also call this the quantum state. Those of us who are non-scientists here, think of electrons as tiny little balls moving around the nucleus of an atom. So nucleus is the center circle, the electrons are moving around the atom. And as you look under the microscope, you note that these electrons are moving. With very fine motion, they are moving. You can see these are electrons. Very fine, your smallest subatomic particles. And they are always moving, constant motion. So that's what your electrons look like. And each one of us, when you boil down to our smallest of elements, we go down to electrons. If you go down to sunlight, you'll go down to photons, but these are particles, and they are moving. So now, we kept going lower and lower, and we came down to the electrons, and we came down to the fact that they are moving. So coming back to the section of your arm bone, when you look at it under such a powerful electron microscope and you see constant movement within its smallest energetic cluster of particles, the electrons, what is the energy that drives these tiny particles to move constantly? Let us call this energy the essence energy, because it's right at the lowest level that we can currently identify. I'm sure as instruments get better, we'll go much lower. But let's call this the essence energy. And this is what's causing those electrons to move in our bone. Next, we do the same experiment with your spouse or your friend. So we take him or her and we start with the big picture reality, with the mirror. So he or she stands in front of the mirror, they identify themselves, they see it's very clear. We then narrow things down with the X-ray, and we now see his or her skeletal structure. Then we get narrower with the MRI down to the sections. Then we take the biopsy section of the bone of the arm and look at it under a superpowered electron microscope. In the end, what do you see? You will see the same constant movement in his or her electrons. Your atoms may be different. The particles may be different to your spouses or your friends. But the energy that drives the constant movement in his or her electrons in the bones is exactly the same. It is the same essence energy. What you have and what he or she has. So now let us repeat this experiment with a tree in your garden. You will end up seeing under the electron microscope different particle types of the tree, but the same constant movement driven by the same essence energy. So now we repeat the same experiment on a sample of a meteor from outer space. We will see the same observation. Constant movement in its subatomic particles, driven by the same essence energy. This essence energy is identical to the energy that drives constant movement in your bones, in your spouse's or friend's bones, the tree, the meteor. It's the same essence energy wherever you go. You are connected to a meteor out there in outer space at the level of essence energy. So we decide to go further. We now repeat this experiment with a sample from a moon rock. We will see the same thing. Same essence energy driving constant movement in its subatomic particles. Then we go to the furthest planet in a cosmos, 1,000,000 light years away, and we will find the same thing. The particles may be different, but the energy that causes them to move constantly is the same essence energy. So we can see that each one of us, at the quantum level of our atoms and subatoms, is connected to our fellow beings, the trees, the birds, the plants, the oceans, all of nature, the meteors, the moon, the planets, and even the furthest cosmic bodies. We are connected because we have the same essence energy that drives our electrons, our subatomic particles. It's the same essence energy. Isn't that amazing? That is our actual reality. We have the same essence energy as every particle in the universes. This essence energy is the ocean we are talking about at stage 10. It is a limitless ocean. It is the ocean that binds the universes together with every creation on this earth and everywhere. My dear friends, that is the esoteric ocean at stage 10. Up to this moment, we thought of and knew our big picture reality, and we thought that is it. But we are finding out that our reality, big picture reality, is very shallow. Now, as we go down, smaller and smaller, down to our subatomic level, and we reach the baseline of actual reality, of essence energy, then this baseline is common to everything. And here on this planet, in your bones, and in the furthest of bodies in the cosmos, this is the ocean of essence energy. This is the most powerful understanding of oneness, and it is undisputable even by science. People may argue the semantics, because scientists have to argue semantics. They have to disprove things. They may argue the semantics, sure, but that is science, but that is the core reality, and that is undisputable. If you look into quantum science, you will see that is the core reality. So we are indeed oneness in every sense of the word, here and far, far beyond in the universes. Hence, through meditation, we can traverse the space, we can traverse the moon, we can traverse the cosmoses by going down and connecting with our essence energy. And we will do a practical meditation on stage 10 in the next few weeks when we have our next practical session. So my dear friends, essence energy, if you try to visualize it, resembles a subtle glow of light coming from every atom, from every particle. A light that has no light bulb or wiring or physical source. It just emanates from each atomic and subatomic particle, a very faint glow. And in a few moments we will discuss this light at a much deeper level, and you begin to realize why it's there and what it's doing. So the ocean of essence energy can also be called the ocean of light, because every particle, every subatom, everything that moves has got this light associated with it that just emanates without a source. It's from the Creator. That's the ocean of light, and oceans of essence energy, same thing. Even when we're talking about light in our big picture reality, we all know the light of the sun, right? Big picture reality shows us sunlight in the form of an illumination of everything during the day. But if you narrow down the picture of sunlight, like we did our bones, you will see particles of light called photons, also in constant motion. Different particles, constant motion, same essence energy. Now let us take a few moments to digest this realization for a few moments. Let's recap it, but nice and slow internally. So let's sit back and visualize this essence energy or life energy. And visualize it at the smallest atomic level of your being. You are this energy. So you can sit back, close your eyes, and visualize this essence energy. Visualize it as flowing like pure light through your being. So when you're visualizing light flowing through your being, everything within you, around you, every cell, every element is just light, pure light in your being. Every cell in your being is this light, is this essence energy. So see it, connect with this light, become this light. Now, think of your spouse or a close friend and visualize this light flowing from you to your spouse or your friend. Combined, now you are both this energy. So you are no longer you, you've now combined and connected with your spouse or friend. You're both now in this light together. You're both this one light. It binds you together. Now let the circle get bigger. Visualize this common energy or light binding you to the plants in your garden or in the park you visit. So you, your spouse, your friend are now, the circle is growing and it includes the plants in your garden, the plants in the parks. You are all still this one light, you and the plants and your spouse. Now expand this light And let it bind you with all the people, all the gardens, all the animals, all of nature in your city. So this light now binds you with everything that exists, every creation in the city you live in. You see, same essence energy, we are just expanding it, we are internalizing it. Now let us expand this light and let it bind you with all the people, gardens, animals, nature, all over the planet. Let it combine everything in the whole world and all the oceans and the entire earth. You are now in that one light. You are that one light, and you're the one light with everything that exists on this planet. So this, the whole world, all the oceans, the entire earth, this common essence energy or light is indeed an ocean itself. This is an ocean itself. Now visualize this ocean of light expand from you to the earth, to the moon, and out far away into the furthest cosmos. Every planet, every galaxy, this light spreads everywhere. Every subatomic and atomic particle, electron, neutron, photon, they all have this essence energy. It makes every particle in everything move, from the electrons in your bones to the furthest cosmic bodies in the universes. This essence energy binds you to everything. It is truly an infinite ocean of light. And this is the esoteric ocean we are talking about in stage 10. Not a big body of water, but rather an ocean of the most subtle essence energy that covers all the universes, animate and inanimate. And at stage 10, you are connected with everything, manifest and unmanifest. That is true oneness. A oneness that binds each of us to every particle in the universe. An ocean of oneness, an ocean of essence energy, an ocean of light. So you may open your eyes. This exercise, please repeat it when the video is out. Sometimes just sit back on your own and just internalize this reality of oneness that binds you with everything in the universes. You will feel so much peace, you will feel so empowered, because now you are approaching your actual reality, not the big picture reality that we see in mirrors and photographs. That's shallow. This is what we seek for. This is where we go deep. So my dear friends, as I mentioned before, these smallest clusters of particles, and I showed you the picture of the electrons, smallest particles we're talking about are even referred to as quantum particles in science. So essence energy drives all quantum particles. It energizes and moves all quantum particles. So quantum science, as we know it, also rests on a foundation of essence energy. You see, there's total harmony between science and spirituality here, as portrayed by the ocean of essence energy. Scientists may one day call this the quantum ocean someday, and that is fine too, because our world is sharpening in its knowledge and understanding of oneness in a more scientifically defendable form. This is very good news. Now, those of us who reach stage 10, we already have internalized, seen, and recognized. And those of us who are striving to get there, I pray you get there and you experience what I'm saying and you see this ocean that's infinite, connects you with everything. You to the meteor, to the cosmos, all part of this ocean. So now let us move to the next set of questions. the dolphins. What do the dolphins represent in stage 10? In stage 6, we had the monks chanting in the temple. The body was the temple, and the chanting of the monks was the inner voice which was being heard for the first time. In stage 10, the soul has no form. It is now the ocean, the vast ocean as we know it. Then here, the dolphins are the monks of the ocean. So in stage 6, when the body had a form, the temple, the monks were human, chanting an inner voice that was human in nature. Why human? Because the human is the most intelligent creation in the material world, blessed with the power of intellect. Likewise, the dolphins are the most intelligent creatures in the ocean, also endowed with the power of intellect. So they represent the monks of the ocean. Now let's take a closer look at why the symbol of dolphins appears in stage 10. Firstly, it is the most intelligent and loving creation in the ocean. And dolphins have lived alongside humans for a very, very long time, and they've always helped humans. There's been harmony between dolphins and humans. I remember when I was much younger and we were growing up in Kenya, and when outside of Mombasa, when you're going towards Malindi, there's a place called Kilifi, and there used to be a ferry where people pull ropes and cross the ferry. And a young boy fell into the ocean, and at the time they were doing dredging, so there were sharks out there. And within moments, these two dolphins appeared alongside the boy. They put their flippers together and put the boy on their flippers and just swam and dropped him off to the ocean. And everyone was in awe, didn't even know what happened. But there's long relationship, long connection between the dolphins and the humans. The theory of evolution proposes that life started in the ocean, which we can now see also makes sense at the quantum level in terms of essence energy. So when I wrote the book, The Alakansera Rise Again, which was in the early 2000s, the Alakansera were a civilization of very advanced beings that came to the world after the Mahabharata era, where there was a war of the good, forces of good and evil, and the forces of good prevailed, but the earth was destroyed. And this civilization came as a force of healing, but they were an equilibrium, and they were very, very scientifically advanced. So I wrote about them, and one of the things that they talk about is of the possibility of the allegory of Adam, as we read in the scriptures, that it may point him to having been a dolphin rather than a physical human, because the dolphin has an intellect too. And they say that life emerged from the sea and then came to land. Hence, human beings most likely came from sea to land, according to them. Which is why our lungs have the basics of gills that sea animals breathe with. If you look at our lungs, that's the origin. Human beings also display other biological aspects common to marine life. So that's by the side, but it's an interesting thought while we're talking about dolphins. Now comes the interesting part. Dolphins, when they sing, they produce a wide array of sound waves, very different to humans. Some we can hear and some we cannot hear, due to their ultra-high vibration levels of their sounds. So other dolphins can pick up these waves miles and miles and miles away because of that high vibration level, but we can't hear it. And furthermore, when dolphins make that croaking sound, you've all heard the croaking sound, then they're not producing waves, they're producing pulses, like our heartbeat. You've seen pulses when you visit someone in hospital and the screen is showing the heartbeat and you just see a pulse where there's a beep, nothing, a beep again, nothing, a beep, that's a pulse. So the sound of the dolphins not only carries energy in waves, it also carries it in pulses. So that's the difference between waves and pulses. One has frequency and some vibration, and pulses have present, nothing, but energy also flows in pulses. And in the early 1990s, when I wrote my first book, Reflections from the Origin, I wrote about how energy in nature flows at a very, very low level, like the quantum level of essence energy we just discussed. And I was told that this energy does not just flow in waves. In nature, it flows largely in pulses. Hence, they leave no trace of their existence because it depends when you measure. And if measured with our rudimentary instruments of the time, of the 1990s, you almost miss it. Today, we have refined that. Today, we are seeing it. So my book also described how pulses exist in energy packets, and today's quantum science also recognizes this. So this truth, universal truth, the reality that forms the basis of science and all our beliefs, it's all common. But today science is catching up, which is very good news. So the sounds of the dolphin have both waves and pulses, way more sophisticated than human voices. And if we consider the ocean as the esoteric ocean of essence energy, then the voice of the dolphins speak to those very low-level quantum states that display continuous movement because the waves and pulses fit those arrays. So the dolphin is the most appropriate creation to be present in the ocean of essence energy or oceans of light. And this was an astounding realization for us when we think about it. And people have done so much research on the sounds of dolphins, and even scientists are in awe. And here it appears as a symbol of stage 10. So next, we have a deeply mystical stage where the soul is now permitted to ascend up the 66 steps to the door of light. Very mystical stage. When I wrote this chapter in 1995, I described the ascension up the 66 steps to the door of light. What are the 66 steps? Are they physical steps like a staircase? The answer is no, they are not physical steps. They are a transformation stage where the soul gives up every element of its identity at all levels when it goes through those last 66 steps. That final stage, as we are at the ocean, we are at totality, that final stage, the soul gives up all its identity completely. And at all levels, from the big picture to down to the smallest of the small quantum state, it gives up all its identity. As it ascends to a state of pure zero, nothingness. Now, what do we mean by that? So as I prepared today's webinar, as I said earlier, I had a glimpse of the symbol of the soul. And I asked our dear Karen, a truly blessed and inspired artist, to draw this symbol for us. The symbol is simple, beautiful, and so powerful. And I just love looking at it and experiencing the energy it emanates. So let's look at it together. So this is the symbol of the soul. Take a moment and look at it. Very simple. Beautiful symbol. The outer circle is the zero circle of the Creator, the origin, the absolute zero. That's the outer circle. Then we have these two inner circles, which we have to talk about in more detail now. But before we go there, let us also see how this symbol is made up. It's made up of two sixes. If you have the number 6 sitting upright, that's what you have. It's the number 6. Okay? So now the number 66 begins to make sense. Then you invert 6 as if you were writing a 9. Then you get this whole symbol. It's made up of two sixes. And this is one of the reasons also, there's only 2 digits in our numbers that allow us to do this. One is 6 and one is 9. And this is also one of the reasons why the Creator in many scriptures has 99 names. It's not physically 99, it's to do with this symbol. And it all ties in to the symbol of the soul, the sixes or the nines. That's the symbol of the soul. Now we're going to come back to look at those inner circles as well. Let's look at the saying. Let's now come to the saying which we have all heard so many times, which is, the origin is light. Light brings life. Life brings experience. Experience brings knowledge. And knowledge is light. So the origin is the light. It's our source. Our source brings life. And life brings us experience, because through this life we go out and we experience. And experience converts to knowledge, and knowledge is light, and that is the full circle of life. And now let's come back to the symbol of the soul and see what life and light and this whole saying, how does it fit in? So here we have the symbol of the soul. Take a look at it. Now the outer circle that we see, you have three circles. The outer circle is the Creator, the absolute zero. The top little circle represents life or life energy. That's the top little circle, life energy. And the bottom circle represents the circle of knowledge. So you've got the top circle is life energy, the bottom circle is the circle of knowledge. So that's how you understand the three circles. Now all souls have the same life energy, the same top circle. Every soul has the same top circle. And they all exist within the one soul of the Creator, as we see in this symbol. What differentiates a soul from another is the circle of knowledge. When a soul starts its journey, it's like a ray of light, which comes from its life energy. So that's what it has in common with its source. But as it goes through life and experiences and gains knowledge, so the circle of knowledge, the lower circle, begins to get brighter and brighter. And at stage 10, as the soul ascends the 66 steps, the light of knowledge is so bright, it is equal to the light of the Creator, which is the outer circle. And this is the door of light. And next, the circle of life and the circle of knowledge, or light of life and light of knowledge, they dissolve into one another, which is called dissolution of the soul into the Creator. Scriptures describe it like words like mukti, fana fi Allah, ultimate union, annihilation. These two circles merge into each other. The life circle, life energy circle, the knowledge circle, because you've reached that level of the Creator. And so now those circles have disappeared, the soul has no identity. It is now the Creator. And we can see from here that when it reaches that point, these two circles, the knowledge circle has become so bright and powerful that the life energy and the knowledge circle all dissolve into the Creator, leaving you with just pure essence, just the Creator. Here you could tell the soul, it has an identity. Here it's become absolute. It has no identity. Now, this is one way we understand the process of dissolution of the soul into the Creator, that final ultimate union. Now, let's come to the parable of light. And when we started the 10 stages of the soul, the series, the masterclass, I did a whole webinar on the parable of light. And I do recommend you go back and listen to that video. But here is where it gets very profound, because the parable of light also shows us the same ultimate union and dissolution of soul into its creator. And let's look at how it's telling us the same thing. The parable of the light of the creator is as if there is a niche. And in the niche, a lamp. The lamp is covered with glass. The glass shines like a brilliant star, lit by the oil of the sacred tree, the olive, neither of the east nor of the west. This oil is luminous, even though fire has not touched it. Light upon light does the Creator guide unto His light those whom He wills. So now let us look at how the parable of light tells us exactly what I have just shared with you before. So let's go back to the symbol of the soul. That's the symbol of the soul. And now you have the circles of life, energy, and of life and of knowledge. Now we start with the parable of the light of the Creator is as if there is a niche, in the niche a lamp. The lamp is covered with glass, and the glass shines like a brilliant star. The lamp here is the circle of knowledge, the bottom circle. That's the lamp. Lit by the oil of the sacred tree, the olive, neither of the east nor of the west. This oil is luminous even though fire has not touched it. So the oil is the circle of life energy, the upper circle. The upper circle is the luminous oil. It is the luminous oil without the fire. It has a soft glow that emanates from within the Creator. So that upper circle, that is the luminous fluid. It has no power source, no electric wires, just a pure soft glow. This is life energy, which is also essence energy, as we discussed, the upper circle. It causes constant movement in all atomic and subatomic particles. And therefore these particles have this glow of light. These atoms, subatoms have that glow of life, light, which is why we earlier called the ocean of essence energy the ocean of light. It's coming from the luminous fluid. And this energy, essence energy, is eternal. It's ever living. So while we are looking at these two circles, life and knowledge, so the lamp, what happens when we die in the material world? When we die, the soul continues, just like the symbol you're looking at. It carries on with its circle of life energy and knowledge that it has acquired in the circle of knowledge. It's there. It is just that at death, physical death of the body, the oil of life, the luminous fluid, stops flowing in the body, the physical body, thus letting it go. Of course, even when the body dies, its essence energy at the subatomic level is still there. The body breaks down in the grave or when it's cremated, and it becomes carbon dioxide gas, whose atoms have the same essence energy. So the big picture now is not the body, it is the gas. Okay? So life is eternal. The next is light upon light does the Creator guide unto His light those whom He wills. And as we go from stage 1 to stage 10, with the luminous oil giving life to the soul, which is the upper circle, little circle, the lamp, the circle of knowledge, the bottom circle, gets brighter and brighter, light upon light. And at the door of light, the lamp now has the same light as the Creator. At this point, the circle of life energy, the luminous oil, the top circle, and the circle of knowledge, the lamp, the bottom circle, they become one. They merge into one another. They dissolve into one another. The two sixes disappear. So the soul no longer has any identity of its own. No inner circles, no particles, no movement at all, pure stillness. Because now all that is left is the absolute zero circle. Luminous fluid, life energy, the lamp, the brilliant star, the knowledge. And at the door of light, the two have merged, and now all you're left with is the Creator. All you're left with, there's no essence energy now. It's just pure essence, pure essence. Beautiful realization. You get it from all directions, comes back to the same final point. So the absolute zero, without the other circles in it, is the essence itself. And the soul now, as I said earlier, has no essence energy, no continuous movement. It is just pure stillness. It is pure essence. And this is what the words, "you are no longer you," that is your fulfillment. This is what it means. It means that you are now the essence itself at the end of the 10th stage. If you look at the bottom of the ocean in our world, it is quiet. And yet it moves the entire ocean and everything at its surface. The bottom of the ocean is completely quiet, but you can have storms and everything above. Now, if you go below the bed of the ocean, so let's say you dig below the ocean bed and you go right under the ground that is at the bed of the ocean, now it is not just quiet, it is totally still, totally silent. And that is essence. That is the Creator. That is the goal of every soul, to become the essence. And this is what happens when the soul crosses that door of light. That is its fulfillment. So my dear friends, this is stage 10. And you see how science and scientific principles all come to the same truth, come to the same point. And the 10th stage and that ultimate union is our goal for all of us. And I would like to conclude today's class and this whole masterclass series of the 10 stages of the soul with the prayer that each one of you be blessed with much, much, much spiritual progress. And that the light of our Creator may always be with you, that His light may guide you from light upon light until you cross that door of light. That's my prayer. And the light of the Creator be with you to help you, guide you, love you, and protect you. There's much to think, much to reflect, but now we have opened a new set of eyes on our actual reality. Stay blessed.